I'm Steve.
Chicken.
It's a crafting table. An ender pearl. This is Minecraft. Flint and steel. Chicken jockey.
It's Minecraft movie day. Hear that, Steve? It's Minecraft movie day. Wake up! It's Minecraft movie day! Let's get our day started. You ready, Steve? You ready to get your day started? Let's brush our teeth. Alright, so I got my fit ready for the day. I'm wearing a Minecraft Creeper t-shirt. And then I also, if I can take them off here, I got these Minecraft branded glasses. So I'm really excited I'm really excited for today. A Minecraft movie is a movie that feels like it should never, ever have existed. This movie has been in development hell for over a decade, and to be honest, I thought it was going to be canceled. I did not think this movie was ever going to be coming out, but you know what? They proved me wrong. Warner Brothers proved me wrong, and they released this movie. And how was it? I don't know how to explain it. Let's start off where any movie should start off, with the characters in this movie are all very, very weird. In fact, you could actually just cut this one, and this one, and this one to an extent. Heck, you could probably even cut this one, if you're really being honest, but, you know, you can't really cut this one because you need a child, surrogate to let the audience in on stuff, but he's still not a character. The kid, Henry, I think his name is, he's not a character. He doesn't really do much at all. He's supposed to be the modder, but he doesn't actually do much to fit that kind of character description. He's not really a modder. He doesn't really do anything. And, the kid's acting isn't fantastic, but, it probably could just be the writing being kind of abysmal in this movie. But, it could also just be because he's a child actor, and that's also fine. Like, I don't want to dig on the kid at all. That's not fun or fair. You could pretty much just cut her character entirely. I think her name is Dawn. She's played by Danielle Brooks, and, you could just cut her character entirely. She does nothing. She adds nothing. She doesn't really have her own personality or anything. She's just kind of another person. And, in fact, you could probably also just cut the sister. I think her name is Natalie. She's played by Emma Myers. And it's really unfortunate because it's the only two women in the cast, and they do nothing in the entirety of the film. Heck, halfway through the movie, they split up the boys and girls, and it's very obvious that they did not know what to do with the two female leads. So, that kind of sucks, but I guess that's just the Minecraft movie for you. Heck, Jason Momoa's character is the only character that I liked besides Steve, but we'll get to that. And he seems to be the only one that seems to have just anything going on. He actually has, a backstory. He has, goals, sort of, kinda, and, he also just gets along way better, with Jack Black, and I would have rather just had Jack Black and Jason Momoa hanging out the entire movie, instead of having 5 characters. That's something that I really hate in stories, is when they just add unnecessary characters, and you could just cut most of them and just have little of them, and then you wouldn't have to deal with just this huge group of characters. The Hobbit is a big example of that. They have, 13 dwarves in that movie, and they don't give any of them personalities. Eternals is another good example of this. They have way too many characters in that movie, and it shows. But I guess I get the need for Henry to be there. To have a successful children's movie, you need to have a child. Except no, not really, because of WALL-E and Ratatouille and The Incredibles and really most Pixar movies in general. But yeah, I would have much rather just have Jack Black and Jason Momoa be the only 2 leads in this movie. Because, we spend so much time on just characters that don't do anything. And Jason Momoa and Jack Black seem to be, the only ones getting any, cool story stuff at all. I know that it would be really weird to have 2 really silly leads, but also, this movie is not taking itself seriously at all, if you didn't notice. So who really gives a shit? Jack Black is having a blast here. This is probably one of the most excited Jack Black performances I have ever seen, and I think he probably improvised 90% of what's going on here. So yeah, no notes on Jack Black. but I do think it's really weird that he goes back to the human world at the end of the movie. Like, it's not really set up. At the beginning of the movie, it's treated more like a joke that he has, like, a dead-end job or whatever, but you could have had a more serious story there, where Jack Black is using Minecraft as an escape from reality, when in actuality you can't always have escapes from reality. You have to face reality at some point. You could have had that more serious moment, but no, they don't really have that, and him going to the real world again is just kind of hollow. The villain, I think her name is Malgosha, she's fine, she serves her purpose, she's kind of entertaining, but also I wasn't really, like, clamoring for more of her, so whatever. The Jennifer Coolidge character, I think her name was Vice Principal Marlene, was really funny, and I just wish there was more of her, because she only gets like 3 scenes, and it's really frustrating. She was really, really cool and funny. The Jermaine Clement character, I think his name was Daryl, the storage unit guy. He's kind of funny, but he doesn't really get to do much, and he's only in 1 scene, so I don't really care all that much. There's this Piglin Brute guy who sounds like Andy Samberg, and I think his name is General Chungus. He is actually really funny, or at least his voice is, but they kill him off pretty much as soon as they introduce him, so they don't get to use him all that much, which sucks, and I really want to see more of him. That's the main thing about most of these characters, is that pretty much all of them don't get to do much of anything, and a lot of the funny ones only get like 1 or 2 scenes to shine, so that kind of sucks. Moving on. The writing is god-awful. Every single line of dialogue sounds like it was taken in 1 take, which works sometimes and makes it really funny, but also makes it feel really rushed and kind of stupid. The movie also does not explain anything. Jack Black does, point out Minecraft things, but he's actually never explaining what those Minecraft things are. He only does that once or twice, but, there's a scene where he throws down a slime block and says, "Slime block to jump," and then he does it. But there's no slimes in the movie. He kind of just has to say that so people kind of understand what the fuck a slime block is or why he's doing that. But he's still not actually explaining anything about the mechanic or any... He doesn't do that. There is no explanation for anything, which I guess is kind of true to the games. Like, there's not really an explanation for anything and everything's weird. But also, it just makes everything so weird and come out of left field. Like, if you do not know what Minecraft is, you're going to have such a hard time with this movie. Like, oh my god, nothing is going to make sense to you. You're going to have such a hard time. So just do what the trailers are telling you to do and shut your brain off. Oh look, the surveys came in. Here's a conclusive list of people who can and will enjoy this movie. Children. People who shut their brain off. Children. People who are high. People who have lobotomies. And even when they do explain things or kind of make logic, they don't follow that logic. Like, there's, like, death in the movie, like, the mobs die in the movie, but all the mobs die so differently. For the piglins, they die in, like, a puff of smoke, and then they drop something, right? The villagers kind of just evaporate like a Harry Potter character, and then skeletons just fall to the floor in a bunch of bones, and then zombies never die, which doesn't make sense, because zombies can die in the game. Like, they don't, that's weird. So, like, it's very inconsistent. All the rules that they do make for themselves are very inconsistent, and it's very weird. Also, the melodrama is really, really stupid. I don't like it when kids' movies go with, like, oh, my parents are dead, like, when they do that sort of thing. And they do that in this movie, and they don't really, I don't know, they just don't call attention to it all that much, but also, it's really weird and stupid and melodramatic, and it's dumb, and it's not really that serious, and you don't really think about it ever, so why include it in the first place? In fact, again, why include any of these characters? Just have Jason Momoa and Jack Black be the stars of the movie, and then have Jennifer Coolidge be the second plot. That is how you make the Minecraft movie. Don't have 5 different characters, 3 of which you're not going to do good writing for. That is not what you do for a movie. That is not what you do for a story. God. Have I really mentioned how atrocious the dialogue is? Like, it's actually really bad. And it's not like Jack Black explaining everything. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just basic lines of dialogue. There's a scene where I think the kid says, like, "Garrett, I trusted you." And then I turned over to my friend in that moment and I said, I think I love this movie. Because that is such a stupid fucking line. And, like, it is not treated seriously. And the way the kid is saying it is, like, again, it feels like it was done in 1 take. That scene is not serious at all. And then it goes away and is never brought up again. I fucking love this movie. Also, on the topic of the "Garrett, I trusted you" line, is everybody supposed to be betraying each other? Because, like, they treat, like, Garrett being in it for the money as some sort of really big, serious, like, betrayal moment, but it's not really. Garrett's been pretty upfront with how he feels about everything, and if you use your eyes or your ears, you know that Garrett is in it for the money and is kind of selfish and, you know, not cool. And Steve is also kind of in this, is he supposed to be betraying us category, because Malgosha hires him to go and find the orb and bring it back to her, but, like, he's not gonna do that. And also, she's holding Dennis over his head, but there is no evidence to support that Dennis is, like, captured by her. Like, Steve saw Dennis go through the portal. Like, Steve knows that Dennis is okay. Or at least he should. I don't know. It's really weird. And Steve and Jason Momoa constantly have these back and forths where they're trying to, like, get something out of their situations. And they're having these conversations out loud, not really whispering, in front of Henry. And Henry is still surprised. It is stupid. I didn't know they let idiots write movies anymore. On the topic of Dennis, nobody's questioning Dennis. I can kind of understand the villagers somewhat, because the villagers are kind of, you know, humanoid, even though it is kind of stupid. But nobody's questioning the square dog in the real world. Nobody. Not a single person. I know this movie isn't serious. In fact, the first 5 minutes of the movie are insanely well done, because it sets up the tone of the movie perfectly. Do not take this movie seriously at all and turn your brain off. And I get that. But that is a way bigger jump in logic. And it's a consistency thing, again, because the actual humans in this movie actually do react to things in a human way. You know, people scream when they see an iron golem, and people react in more realistic ways to the Minecraft things, but nobody's doing that for the Nitwit or Dennis. So that's really, really weird. Really weird. Really weird. The movie's main messaging of creativity being amazing or whatever is a good message, and it is a good message for the Minecraft movie, but also I feel like they could have pushed it a bit more. Henry's not really shown all that much to be really creative. He creates like 2 or 3 things that are pretty creative, but it's not enough. I don't think they really pushed that message enough for it to be the main message of the movie. Alright, so this next thing is kind of way off topic, but I really don't like it when Minecraft makes the piglins out to be bad guys. I get they're hostile in the game, and they are technically villains, but also, the game sets it up as the piglins are just protecting their home, and they don't like it when you touch their stuff. That doesn't make them villains, it just makes them, like, you know, landowners who don't want you to pillage their land. And I feel like that's a very, I don't know, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to want to protect what you have. It's just, I just don't like it. And this is what Legends does, this is what Dungeons does, and this is what this movie does, is it makes the piglins out to be bad guys who hate everything. That is not true. Now, if you want to actually put bad guys in your movies, just get the Illagers. Because the Illagers are actually bad guys. They kill villagers. They pillage lands. Like, that's a bad thing to do. That's a really bad thing to do. Make them your movie's villain, not the piglins. Please, Minecraft. Please. The movie is funny, but I don't know how much of it was actually, like, intentional or not. Like, a couple jokes do land, but most of the movie is just kind of stupid and memey, and that's why it's really funny. I will say there is a really funny joke with Malgosha at the end when the villain, you know, Malgosha is dying. Like, that's a really funny joke. Like, it's a really funny sequence, and I do think that's probably the funniest thing of the entire movie, other than just the movie being the movie. The pacing of this movie is pretty batshit crazy. Just everything goes so incredibly quickly. You get no time to breathe ever. In fact, I think the only breathing time you get is like the 10 minutes where they're introducing the main characters of the movie other than Steve. Steve gets like 5 minutes tops, then everybody else gets like 10, and then the movie is just breakneck. So fast, do this, do that, do this now. It's so quick. It's crazy. And I guess the last thing in this section that I want to talk about in terms of writing is, did you know that this movie is kind of a musical? La, 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 la. Steve will just randomly break out in song about anything going on, and it's actually really funny. Like, if it was anybody else, then it would have been cringe and weird, but since it's Jack Black doing it, I was just having a blast with it. I think it's fine, and I think it's kind of funny. Anyway, next up is... Okay, so, as a movie, it's kind of fun. It's a really fun movie, but as a representation of the game it's trying to be about, it's fucking awful, and it's a bad representation of the Minecraft game. Like, they do get some stuff right. The basic stuff is correct for the most part, but this movie really just reads like the people who were writing it did not know what the hell was going on and just skimmed the Wikipedia or asked random people on the street. It also feels like this was written by people who haven't played the game since like 1.2. Here are some thoughts that I wrote down after the movie on stuff that just doesn't make sense and definitely isn't in the game.
Number 1.
You're telling me it's that easy to kill an Enderman? That's not how Endermen operate. You can't just kill them that easily. I've almost been bested in netherite armor by Endermen. That is not how they operate. They are super fucking strong, and Henry should not have been able to kill him. Also, you got an Ender Pearl on your first kill. Lucky bastard.
Number 2.
Man, I wish that's how creepers operated. I wish they just didn't explode unless you hit them. But no, they sneak up on you and they blow up. Because they are evil, evil monsters. They're not cute and cuddly creatures. Stop this propaganda.
Number 3.
That's an activator rail, not a powered rail. Activator rails don't do shit, alright? You're not gonna go fast on an activator rail. They could have just swapped this out in any of the trailers. They could have. They really could have, but they just didn't for some reason.
Number 4.
There is no way Steve went to the end and got 3 Elytra wingsuits. Also, they're not called Elytra wingsuits. They're just called Elytra, and they're more like fabric. They are not sheets of metal, okay? Also, again, Steve, there's no way Steve went to the end. To go to the end, you need Eyes of Ender. To get Eyes of Ender, you need an Ender Pearl and Blaze Rods. Now, not only does Steve only have 1 Ender Pearl to his name, he also, the first time went to the Nether, got captured. So he's not getting Blaze Rods and not making Eyes of Ender, therefore, not going to the fucking end.
Number 5.
I don't have that much footage to show you, but there are way too many pink sheep in this movie. Do you know how incredibly rare pink sheep are? They're very rare. They are a 0.164% chance rare, okay? That's really, really rare.
Number 6.
What the fuck is that thing?
Number 7.
On the topic of rarity, there's a point in the movie where Steve is throwing eggs at Malgosha, and every single egg that hits pops a chicken. That does not happen. Spawning a chicken from an egg that you throw is like a rare chance. Do you know how rare of a chance? I'll tell you. From the wiki, adult chickens lay eggs at random, and an egg thrown at the ground by a player or a dispenser has a 1 in 8 chance of spawning a baby chicken. If a baby chicken spawns from a thrown egg, there is a further 1 in 32 chance to spawn 3 extra baby chickens, or a 1 in 256 overall. It is theoretically possible for a stack of 16 eggs to yield 64 chickens if all spawn chances succeed for all eggs. So basically what I'm saying is, that's not gonna happen. You can't just throw every single egg and have it all become chickens. That's not gonna happen, and Steve, I think, is God. I could go on and on, but honestly, I don't really want to anymore because there are probably more qualified people to talk about every single inconsistency this movie has from the game. Like, it's so incredibly weird and not accurate to the game. Now here are some miscellaneous thoughts I had about the movie. I think there should have been more mobs, because the only mobs we see are the ones we've already seen in the trailers, and I just thought it was really disappointing that we didn't see any, like, rabbits, or blazes, or magma cubes, or horses, or just cats in general. We're in a village, there should be cats anyway. The mid and post-credit scenes are amazing. I think the mid-credit scene is, like, the funniest scene in the entire movie, just because of how batshit crazy and really insane it is. So it was really funny. And then the post-credit scene is just really cute. I have no other words to describe it. It's just cute and just something for all the fans of Minecraft. Just like how I wanted more mobs in the movie, I wish there was more Minecraft-y stuff in the movie. I feel like there's just so many more items and things that they could have just name-dropped or anything. I just wanted more Minecraft if possible. I just wanted more Minecraft. I think General Chungus, Jennifer Coolidge, and the Illagers should have just been in it more. I know I mentioned this before, but they really are some of the best parts about the movie. Chungus is really funny. Jennifer Coolidge is one of the funniest things about the movie. And the Illagers are a really, really cool sequence, and they're the most, like, game accurate and well done out of anything, like, Minecraft related. So I just wish they were in it more. I think the VFX are actually not too bad. When the first trailers dropped, I do agree, everything kind of looked not so great. And the green screen isn't fantastic, but I'm not a person who really identifies, like, green screen errors, like, at least in a theater. I'm sure on Twitter somebody will point out, the green screen errors when the film comes out on digital, but for what it's worth, I did not notice any, like, really atrocious green screen errors or anything like that, but maybe I'm just kind of dumb. I will say I think it's awesome about how many practical effects and practical, like, props and stuff there are in the film. Like, I love practical effects. I love holding things as an actor. I love being on sets and seeing things. So the fact that there's a lot of that actually in this movie is amazing. The behind the scenes of this movie is just, it's amazing. I love it. I love everything about all the practical effects. I think that the Herobrine reference is actually really cute and pretty fun, and it's a very great nod to the Minecraft community. I think the tribute to Technoblade is really well done, and of course I love it. It's just so great. Technoblade never dies. I think the Minecraft YouTuber cameos are actually really cool, but I just wish they did more, maybe. Dandy DM, LD Shadow Lady, and Afmel are kind of like blink and you'll miss it moments, even Mumbo Jumbo, but, of course I noticed them because I am very terminally online, and I love those people, so, I appreciated it. Wish they did more, but it's fine. I think it's cool. I also think that the Jens cameo is very cool as well. I mentioned the music before and the fact that Jack Black sings, and I think that's awesome, but in terms of the actual soundtrack, I think it's kind of mixed. I mean, I didn't know any of the licensed songs, but, I did notice that there was kind of licensed music thrown in there. The score is alright. Mark Mothersbaugh did a really good job with the soundtrack, but I just wish there was more, C418, because every time they used the original Minecraft soundtrack, it was great. The pig step, like, being thrown in there was amazing, and that entire sequence is just really funny and amazing anyway, so. And lastly, I just want to mention that there was this kid right next to me in the theater who would not shut up talking to his dad about every single little thing that was happening. So, like, every single time a Minecraft item would pop up, he would go to his dad and he'd be like, yeah, that's like the enchantment language. That's on the enchantment table which you craft with obsidian and diamonds and books. And at one point, he said, oh yeah, the strongest armor type in the game is netherite, but Steve doesn't have netherite because they made this movie before netherite existed. And I'm like, no, that is wrong, because netherite was introduced when piglins were introduced, and there are piglins in this movie, so you're just wrong. Steve just doesn't have netherite because he just didn't find netherite in the nether, okay? You are wrong. You are a dumb child. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is, what do I rate this movie? Because after all these criticisms, the fact that it's not a well-written movie, the fact that, some of the story elements are just terrible, the fact that even the original ideas for a Minecraft movie were way cooler than the official product, and the fact that it's not a good representation of the game. So, what do I rate it?
It's a 10 out of 10. I fucking love this movie.
Like, if I was using my actual critic's brain, it would be more like a 4 or a 3 out of 10, but I don't care, man. I love this movie. I was so excited for this movie to come out. I knew it was going to be hot garbage, but, and it was. And I had so much fun with it. I love this movie. This movie was made for me. I love it when things are stupid and they know it. This movie does not take itself seriously in the slightest, and it tells you that in the first 5 minutes, which is perfect and amazing. It's not taking itself seriously, and it's just trying to be a fun movie. Again, is it a good representation of the game? Pfft, hell no. It's not a good representation of the game. This is not what Minecraft is about. And I wish that, in some universe we could have gotten a way better Minecraft movie, but also I don't really care, because, you can't really make a Minecraft movie. I never thought that a Minecraft movie should have ever existed anyway, because there's not supposed to be one. You make your own stories in the game. So making an official story just is kind of stupid. So I like what they did and said, hey, this isn't canon. We're just going to have fun with it. And for that, the movie has my undying respect. Should the movie be held on, the merits of any other movie? Probably, but I think, as a society, we can give this one a pass, right? We can let this movie just have its fun. It's gonna make $1 billion, and it's just gonna, it's just, adding on to the really bad video game adaptations list. But at least this one is fun to watch, and that's all I ask. So, yeah, I'm legitimately saying it's a 10 out of 10. I don't know if I'm being ironic or not. Maybe in a couple years' time, I'm gonna hate this movie and actually give it a 4 out of 10, like it probably deserves. But right now, this is probably one of the best things I've watched in a while. Actually, no, I watched Whiplash like the night before, and that was actually a good movie.
Not quite my tempo.
Maybe I should rethink my life, but I love this movie, and it's probably not gonna change. I love everything about this movie. All the flaws and all. And believe me, there are so many flaws. Alright. Smiles to you. 10 out of 10.
We're no strangers to Minecraft. You know the tools, and so do I. Some diamond armor's what I'm thinking of. We really hope we won't ever die. I just wanna tell you what I'm mining. Gotta get a stack of sand, hit it with a flint and steel, hit it with a flint and steel.